Hi, I'm Joy McKnight, Transaction Banking and Payments Editor at Trade Treasury Payments. Ahead of the IFC's Global Trade Partners meeting in Lisbon, the IFC and Trade Treasury Payments is hosting the Women in Trade and Supply Chain Finance Network Roundtable. And I have with me Natasha Condon, who is Global Head of Trade Sales at JP Morgan. Thanks so much for joining me, Natasha.
Thanks for having me.
So I have a few questions for you. So the first question is, how do you think financial institutions can address the main barriers for women-owned or led businesses?
Well, let's talk for a second about what those barriers are. So you are, in this case, often talking about relatively smaller companies who may have a bit less access to finance than the equivalent large corporation. So you have got to consider, to me, the barriers are fundamentally two. One of them is cost to serve, right? It costs the same to onboard, to KYC, to credit analyze a small company as it does a big one. And that creates an inbuilt disadvantage for the small company that we need to do something about. And then you've got the credit analysis piece around those companies may find it very difficult to provide the right kind of information to me as a bank that will get me comfortable to lend to them, where a large corporation has a whole infrastructure around giving me that data. So fundamentally, we are talking about an information problem. And the nice thing about that is that the answer to information problems is technology. And we happen to be having this conversation at the beginning of what looks like one of the big technological leaps of our generation, with the advent of things like AI, LLM. So I am super excited about how we can use new technologies to solve for those problems. And I think you will very quickly see the impact if we do.
Excellent. And then what role can large banks, you sort of touched on it there, but what role can they play in increasing finance to women-owned or led suppliers? And then how does JP Morgan, for example, sort of measure its success?
Yeah. So look, I have the good fortune to work for a bank with a big tech budget. And we have been innovating in this space for quite a while. We were doing AI before it was cool. And so I'm very excited about where we can use those technologies to kind of make that information easier for small companies to get to us. And, you know, we've looked at things like the LEI initiative and some of the global industry initiatives that make it easier for companies to provide their data once and then for it to be ingested by multiple banks, which I think would make life significantly easier for the average sort of small business. I would really like to partner more with my partner banks. You know, it's one of the reasons we're here at this event, right? I think if the bank industry gets together, then those of us who have sort of the power to innovate can share those learnings with the broader industry and we can all collaborate. And those who have wonderful local expertise and really deep understanding of the kind of clients that we're talking about here can bring that to the table, and I can bring my technology to the table. And somewhere in the middle, we will do more business than we were doing before, and we will support those clients better than we were doing before. And that is how we will see success.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your insights, Natasha.
Thank you.